Hey, everybody. Welcome to Project Next new show where we talk about culture, pop culture, movies, shows, and we compare it to today and the government and what can we learn? What are these shows? What are the comic books? What are the movies teaching us? And how can we use that to pull us out of authoritarian rule and oligarchs and corporations controlling us? So today we're focusing on the hit show The Boys. It's on Amazon Prime. It's also a comic book. Seth Rogen's executive producer of it. A lot of money put in that show. I love it. And I'm so thankful that Scott Johnson, my new friend, who helps run the 50-51 movement in Indiana. He helps do those massive protests in Indianapolis. I'm so thankful he's joined. So how are you today, Scott?
I'm good, and honestly, you called me in from doing yard work, so it's hot out. I'm really glad I'm here.
Oh, so hot out.
Yes.
It's so hot. Yeah. It's almost too hot to swim, like outside.
Oh, yeah.
That's how hot
Yeah, it's so hot I don't put the top down on my car right now.
Right. Too hot for that. Yeah. So stay inside and listen to this great show or watch us. And it doesn't matter if you haven't seen The Boys, you can still listen to it and kind of find out the wisdom from the show.
Yep.
Or if you're a fan, it works too. So don't worry that you're not going to understand it if you haven't seen The Boys. If you want to pause this, go watch The Boys and come back, that works too. But you don't have to have watched the show.
You really don't.
The main point is we're going to pull what the show is trying to tell us about today and authoritarian government and money and people in power and how they try to control us. And we're going to pull the tricks that the show is trying to tell us so that we can pull ourselves out of the place that we are in 2025. So yeah. Okay. So Scott, I mentioned The Boys on our 50-51 episode that we did.
Yep.
What was that? 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
And you said you like the show and you've read the comics. So tell us, when did you start reading the comics? I don't even know when they came out.
Since 2008 when they originally came out.
Oh, okay.
Comics run was 2006 to 2012. So I guess I came in 2 years in. And I read the whole original run. And I read that at the time I was building software as I usually do. And a buddy of mine and I, we would, take our lunch break and read The Boys and, shoot the crap about it over as we worked remotely. And I would have said once upon a time that The Boys was utterly unfilmable.
Yeah.
And then Amazon Prime came out and they really did a version of it that was so true to life. It very much follows. It very much follows the existing meat comic very, very well. I'm surprised at how well it follows it.
That's good to know because I haven't read the comics, but I really like
the show. I mean, the differences are mostly the things that you would have to do to make it more filmable.
Right.
Like some of the physical characters, some of the physical portrayals are different.
Mm-hmm.
Originally, the character Huey was actually Garth Ennis, the creator, went to Simon Pegg and said, "Can I use your likeness?" Because they all fall into that British, Scottish, we do fantasy and comics and stuff and movie stuff. And Simon Pegg granted him a license to do it, but he took so long, he was then too old.
That's interesting.
And originally the character in the comic is called Wee Huey, right? And in the TV show, he's taller than his dad, so they couldn't call him Wee Huey anymore.
That's cute. And the actor that plays Huey is Meg Ryan and
Dennis Quaid's son.
Yeah, I like him. He's a good actor.
He's a very good actor.
Yeah, let me sum up the show for everybody. It's because again, it's totally fine if you don't watch it, but it's such a fascinating show. It's like if superheroes were real in today's time, what would it actually be like, as opposed to we all just trust Superman and let him do whatever he wants and he's on his own and nobody controls him. So it's superheroes, but they're controlled by one major corporation, Vought Industries.
Yep.
And that corporation has its hands in the government, has a bunch of lobbyists. They have tons of money. They've influenced government law. They kind of play their hands in wars so they can make more money. Sometimes they're pumping the other side against America to make more money. And
Yep.
then the biggest thing is you think the superheroes, the seven,
Yep.
are saving the world because VOD industry constantly pumps out propaganda videos and messaging, and they're great at social media.
Yep.
They're great at the news and having certain news anchors talk how great they are. So when you first see them at the beginning of the season one, you think they're legit heroes.
Yep.
And then you kind of realize through the guy you were talking about, the Meg
Huey.
Ryan's son, his character's girlfriend gets just killed in an accident when one of the seven who can fly really fast, A Train, flies through her, and you see it. Like, the show is incredibly violent. I close my eyes. I watch it while I'm running.
The show was the comic, right? Like the comic had splatter everywhere.
Yes, so
And that
it's
was
very
always
violent.
that
Yeah.
was always one of the distinctive things about it. It was so historically comics were governed by what was called the CCA, the Comics Code of Authority, which basically was an artifact of what came out of the EC comic, the lawsuits against EC Comics back in the 50s when the government wanted to regulate comics.
Ooh.
And so what they did was they did industry self-regulation. They said that we'll have the Comics Code Authority. And by and large, DC and Marvel have conformed with that, with a couple of exceptions. When DC and Marvel wanted to focus on drugs back in the early 70s, when that was a big social issue, they broke the Comics Code Authority and they showed Spider-Man's best friend, tripping, and they showed Green Arrow's protege, shooting up. So like there have been times in the past when they violated it, but by and large, they pretty much don't, even to this day.
Huh.
And then the newer comics companies, things like Wildstorm, Dynamite, etc., they have no holds barred because they're like, we were never governed by this. Why should we care? So if you're looking for edgy, you turn to a Dynamite or a Wildstorm, and Wildstorm's now a part of DC. So I guess that's now not edgy anymore. But you turn to Dynamite or someone like that or Image to get the edgier stuff.
And who's doing The Boys?
The Boys is Dynamite.
Oh, okay. You know your stuff. I feel like you know your comic book stuff.
I have been reading comic books my whole life, and science fiction and fantasy. So, like, if you ever need to borrow anything, odds are I've got it.
That's cool. So yeah, I feel like I got the right person for the show. So that would just happen by accident. So thanks for doing this. Yeah. So Huey sees his girlfriend get plowed through,
and it's actually worse than that. They're holding hands, and she's actually slightly in the street, and then A Train runs through her, and he's literally holding her hands and going, Robin.
Oh, yeah. And I've heard people say I started to watch the show and then that scene happened and I turned it off. So a lot of people can't handle the violence, and it's the most violent show I watch. I just literally, sometimes I turn the volume on mute and close my eyes to avoid the violence.
It's pushing the limits of television without question.
I've heard Seth Rogen say on the Dak Shepard podcast that he can't believe that they get away with the violence that they do. But I would say if you can stomach it, it's worth it because it's giving you a lot of messages. So Huey gets all of a sudden realizes the seven aren't actually superheroes, and they like try to give him money, like lawyers try to give him money and like pump out a non-disclosure agreement to get him to not say what happened to his girlfriend, and he's like no, and then he gets contacted by Billy Butcher. And he has this kind of underground organization where he's trying to go after the seven and show everybody in the world that these superheroes are actually bad. However, that's pretty hard to do when these people legit have superpowers and there's this massive corporation running them, and there's all these lawyers and money, and the government's tied to them. You see anything similar to today?
It is very analogous to being a protester these days, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we sit there and we go out and we get big crowds at the State House, but we're not raising, like, the most that the movement has raised nationally is about 3.5%, maybe 5% of the country. And that means there's 95% of the country that isn't paying attention.
Right.
And we're up against Fox News, and we're up against the most powerful man in the world. And it is not lost on me what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's more of us, right, Scott? There are more of us against corporations
Correct.
and billionaires controlling our life.
Yep.
But since the billionaires, the government, the oligarchs, since they have the control over the social media platforms, over
Correct.
the news, you're saying it's so hard to shine a light on what they're doing because we're up
Correct.
against such a big thing, just like in The Boys. So that
Yeah.
is huge parallels. And it's so interesting because you're real life trying to do good.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
it's so hard.
that is all we do at 5051. We have a saying, we're not right, we're not left, we're right versus wrong. And we're just trying to make people, and what we do every time we come out is we're just trying to make people aware of what's going on.
Yeah.
Because we believe, like, fundamentally, I believe in the American people. And I think that if the American people understand what's going on, things will change. Now, that might be the most naive thing you'll ever hear this year. It might not be. But overall, the thing that keeps Americans, out, away from doing politics, away from protesting, honestly, it's economics. When most families are two-income families now, where's the time to go to a
Yeah.
protest?
Yeah. Like you were saying in our last episode about 5051, you're retired. And it's kind of a joke because you're the least retired person I know.
Yes.
You're doing a full-time job with extra hours. You're just not
Yes,
making any money doing it.
that's right.
Right. And so far I'm not making money on Project Next. I'd like to one day, but for
Yep.
now we're so new. We're just trying to get out there.
Yep.
Yeah. So you have to come from a certain amount of privilege just to do what we're doing. We have to be able to afford it,
Yeah,
you know?
just to do what we're doing. Like,
Yeah.
I worked hard my whole life, and I retired and I invested well, and I retired during the pandemic.
Okay.
Uh,
o-
so,
So now I want to focus in on this part is what really blows my mind. And I want to talk a big chunk of this about it.
okay.
Okay. So Homelander is the
Yep.
main bad
The
guy.
main
He's
bad
the
guy.
leader of the seven, and he
Yep.
looks a lot like Superman. He can shoot
He is
lasers out of his eyes.
he is a blonde Superman. There's no question.
He's a blonde Superman. He has a blue suit with
Yep.
American flag as the
Yep.
cape. And he's very handsome. He's
Yep.
very smart and charming, and you can't kill him. You
Nope.
cannot kill him. He's strong. He can fly. Um, and then you kind of think at the beginning that he's a hero. Like you
Mhm.
legit watch The Boys thinking these people are heroes, and then you're slowly getting horrified and realizing, oh, this is propaganda. This is
Yep.
the media company or Vought Industries, this
Yep.
mega corporation pumping out. They even like make movies. The
Yep.
seven are in movies where they are saving people, and then they even stage fake heroic
Fake crimes.
rescues.
Yeah.
Yes, or they stage fake crimes, and
Yep.
they get shots of it, and then they pump it out like it's real, and the majority of the country in the world think it's real,
Yep.
including Huey, who is
Yep.
working with Billy Butcher and their group to try to stop them, until he didn't know until his girlfriend died.
Yep.
So Homelander, you watch, there's 4 seasons of the show. You can watch them on Amazon Prime. They're great. I recommend them. You see throughout the seasons why he is a monster,
Yep.
but also a very smart monster. And
Very,
you
very
see,
smart, very cunning.
yeah, he's like he's a baby in Vought Industries, and they just like torture him. They do testing on him as he grows up, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And so he has been tortured
Yep.
and not loved, no unconditional love.
Correct.
And you kind of like, I feel for him. Like, I was like,
Sure.
you watch him as a baby, and I'm like, somebody pick him up and love him and stop putting him in a furnace. And, you just feel for this child that you're watching get tortured, but it
Yep.
shows why he now, as an adult man with super, stronger than anybody else in the world, why he doesn't have empathy,
Yep.
right? So the actor that plays Homelander,
Mm-hmm.
he's from New Zealand.
Yep.
And I like the actor. I follow him on Instagram. He's friends with it's a what is the guy's name? Flightless Bird podcast that I listen to, another
Okay.
New Zealander guy. I can't
Yep.
think of his name right now, but he's friends with him and he did his podcast. And on that podcast, he said when he walks around in America and he really has dark hair in real life. When he has
Yep.
blonde hair from filming Homelander, he's walking around in real life meeting fans. A lot of the fans think he's the good guy of the show.
Yep.
So people are watching The Boys. The
Yep.
Boys is showing you these superheroes are actually bad guys. You
Sure.
see Homelander murder someone
Yep.
in like season 3, I think it is, or maybe season 2. I can't remember which one.
Yep.
You see him murder someone on live TV and he goes to trial
Yep.
for it and gets away with it. And the people watching The Boys, a group of them, think he's the hero of the show.
Sure.
Like, what does that mean to you? Because that's...
Well, I think, first of all, people have a complicated relationship with their fandom. Okay. So, and we've seen this before, you know, so I don't know if do you remember the show Sons of Anarchy?
Yes. I
Okay.
haven't seen it, but I know it.
So Sons of Anarchy chronicled, you know, was basically supposed to be the Hells Angels. So a motorcycle gang in Southern California, and they ran drugs and they did sex trafficking, etc. And yet there were groups of men that did nothing but watch that show. Like that show was an icon for 5 or 6 years. And like there were watch parties for it the same way there are watch parties for Outlander. Okay. And so I think it says two things. People can like a portrayal, but that doesn't mean that's the same thing as liking the real thing. But some of the people probably do like the real thing, right? And they like that, you know, America's got very much of a strongman fascination. I mean, we're the country that elected Reagan, right? And Reagan came in and, like, you know, the first thing
he
we
was
saw,
a legit
right,
Hollywood movie star,
a
handsome
legit
Hollywood movie star,
a legit
lifeguard,
tough guy.
football player. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
And I think, you know, one thing that we're starting to see is that the strongman portrayal isn't necessarily all it's cracked up to be, certainly with our current supreme leader. And then the other thing is, we don't have, what's the right way to say this without being elitist and undemocratic? We don't do a great job teaching about media and how to appreciate it at more than a surface level.
Like how to point out whether something's propaganda or whether it's fact. I agree with you.
Like we really don't do a good job with that. And
now I had it when I taught 5th grade. It was in my standards to teach propaganda. And so I spent a long time teaching it, but it's hard to teach because it's so complex. You got to, not everybody gets it. That's something that I think we're missing here. Not everybody can pick up propaganda. They just get duped and manipulated by it. Yeah.
Correct. And quite honestly, the U.S. government itself understands this. That's why we run Voice of America, right? I mean, the U.S. has been running a propaganda network since the 1950s.
Yeah.
And other nations understand this too, because they've been running it too.
Yeah. And anytime, you know, you're calling out what looks like authoritarian government and companies ruling our country and lobbyists, you're calling out hey, government, you're not following we the people as much as you should. And people are telling you that's not American because of the propaganda. And actually, that's pretty much the definition of America. We have the freedom. We have the freedom to call out when we don't like what our leaders do. It's authoritarian dictatorship when you're not allowed to do that. So when our leaders try to silence news, NPR, facts, and they try to say that's un-American, you listen to what I say, that's dictatorship, authoritarian. And I think a lot of people don't understand that right there. They don't get it.
I have had people at protests drive by and tell me if I don't love America, I should leave it. And we saw this in the 1960s. People that were protesting the Vietnam War. It's like, if you don't love America, leave it. No, I love it. I'm here because I love it. Yeah. And that is a subtle nuance that I think is hard to understand for some people.
Yeah. It's not black and white. It's not one
black
thing.
and white at all.
It's complex.
Yep.
Yeah, I wake
Oh,
up every single day thankful I'm born in this country, especially as a
yep.
woman. There are
Yeah.
countries around the world where there's not a democracy, where women don't get to vote. Women don't get to have like a bank account and stuff, and it has to be their dad or their brother or their husband.
Yep.
I'm so thankful that I am free here. Yeah, we're still not equal. Women still aren't equal in this country, but it's a lot better than most places around the world. So,
It is. It is a lot better. And where we all get upset is that it is, and we fail to realize how much of America is an ideal as opposed to an actuality. America has always been the shining city across the sea, right? We've been a champion of rights, even when we don't deliver them are for ourselves. And that's one of the hardest things to get when you are an American and you realize that you're not living up to the ideals, is it becomes very disillusioning for people. And I know a lot of
right.
people on my side of the political equation, you know, have problems with that. And I agree. Like, I want America to be better. That's all I want.
Yeah.
But
I want our
it is
government
better than
to
everything
be
else.
reflected of us, the people
Yeah.
that elect them.
Correct.
I want our government officials to listen to us and to vote that way, but instead it's like the boys where it's corporations, it's
Correct.
billionaires, it's
Yep.
lobbyists, it's that have just used propaganda, just dumped it, and that's so similar, like I mean, MSNBC, way too far to the left. Fox
Yep.
News, what's the really far right? Newsmax,
Yep.
way too far to the right. We got the left and the right. I might have said it wrong. I can't. But we need the in the middle, the truth.
The reality is always down a center line. And the thing to understand about America is a country of we do violent oscillations. Canada waited 50 years and got their freedom for free. We had to have a violent revolution, fight a war.
Right.
It's been the way with America. We go too far one way and then too far the other way.
Yeah.
And what we've never been very good at is centrism. And
Right.
that's what most people want.
Yeah. That's what
Um,
I struggle so much with my Democrat friends who are very far to the left, and they're very angry at people that
mhm,
voted for Trump. They are very angry at people that I don't really think really know what's going on. And they think they do know what's going on, and they want to yell at our neighbors because they voted for
mhm,
Trump 3 times. And I'm just like, I don't think they know what Trump's really doing. They're seeing just a little bit because they're really busy. Maybe they got
yep,
multiple jobs. Maybe
yep,
it's hard to keep food on the table. Maybe it's hard to pay rent or pay their
yep,
mortgage. And they're not paying attention to the news like we are. So maybe
yeah.
we shouldn't blindly assume they know. And instead, we should recognize propaganda works. There's a
Oh,
reason
it does. I mean,
they do
that's
it.
what
It
Fox News
works.
is. Fox News
Yes.
is a propaganda channel.
MSNBC is propaganda too. I mean, not all of it, but they
Not
go
all of it.
way
I
too.
think a lot less.
I don't think it's as
Um,
bad as it's not as bad as Newsmax, but it's pumping out fear, hate, and division because that's what sells advertisement. That's what keeps people engaged is the fear. Fear sells. So, and also yelling and having some type of debate where you're like, your side's stupid because this and this and this. And it's like,
mhm, yep.
we need to stop yelling at the other side and we need to make solutions and then do the
I,
solutions and
I
fix
agree with
stuff.
that.
So
I agree with
that's
that.
I have a major problem with MSNBC. I have a major problem with Fox. But if we all recognize they're just trying to make money, the executives, the
Mhm,
people running the networks, they want to sell ads, they want to keep you watching their programs.
yep,
So they just keep getting more extreme and more extreme when the
yep.
majority of the country is, like you said, more moderate and wants common sense solutions,
Well,
wants compromise.
and that's why people like you exist nowadays, right? Because you're providing a more balanced view of the world than we can get from the commercial channels. Like I get most of my news I don't get from MSNBC. I certainly don't get it from Fox.
Yeah, me neither.
I'll go to Memorandum and pull it across the internet. Or I'll hit YouTube for a commentator I trust.
Yeah.
Um, so
Yeah. Yeah. Let's bring it back to the boys again. So Homelander, you can't kill him.
Nope.
And um the Vought Industries has gotten the government. They even have a secret person that has superpowers that doesn't say they have superpowers that can
Yep.
blow up people's heads.
Yep.
And so
That's right.
that's sort of scary.
Hmm.
And then at one point there's this like drink you
Yeah.
can take, and
Yeah. Yes.
then and
So,
like I
so
think it's this new season, is it season 4, where some of the actual heroes start drinking it and getting superpowers, but it's dangerous and it could kill them.
yeah. So the basic premise in that underlies the boys is that Vought was a company originally founded out of Nazi super science, and they came up with a chemical potion that would give superpowers to some small percentage of people, and they began experimenting on the entire American public. So they basically have been feeding it to babies for decades.
Oh yeah.
And some of those babies will grow up to be superheroes.
And
And
some of them grow up to have like terrible problems, or they
terrible
die
problem.
too. Some of them die.
Yep, some of them
Yeah.
die. And then this drug called Compound V, what they're trying to do is they're trying to get, contracts to sell it to the Pentagon to superpower soldiers. And then our plucky group of heroes, Billy Butcher and Huey, they get control over, they get a handle on some of this, and they start taking it. And of course, it has bad side effects. Like, this is something that you're supposed to get only when you're a baby.
And something that The Boys does really well is the good guys aren't always good. Billy Butcher is so obsessed
Billy Butcher
with
is
killing
not a good
Homelander.
man.
He's so obsessed with killing Homelander because Homelander, well, they think murdered his wife, but later on you find out.
Yeah. Basically, Homelander raped his wife,
and she has a kid, and then
she has
now
a kid
there's a
who is
kid that has
Homelander's
Homelander's powers. So yeah.
Yep.
So he just wants his wife back, and then later he wants to save his kid, but the kid has Homelander's thing, and it's a whole thing. Is the kid going to be manipulated by Homelander? Billy Butcher isn't always that great either. So
Nope.
I like that whole element. I like that the side fighting against the bad guys aren't always good, or they're not always perfect, and that mirrors more real life. We're not 100% good or 100% bad.
Nobody is.
Nobody's perfect. And I think in superhero movies and in comics, we kind of like to portray people as 100% good or 100% bad, and it's more nuanced. Like Homelander does good things every once in a while.
Yeah.
Even though he's a monster.
And this has been a running theme in superhero comics for about the last 20 years. So one of the things that has happened is originally comics were throwaway entertainment. Like, literally there was no expectation that anyone would ever keep them. Okay. And that's why the early editions are so valuable, because most of them were literally thrown away or recycled to make the next version.
Right.
Then, and originally they were just written by people who were just schlock. It was what was referred to as the villain of the week. And a lot of time, particularly in early Superman comics, what happened was an editor had a artist draw a cover page, and then it was handed to a writer, said, make a story out of this. And it has Superman fighting a dragon on it. And that's why a lot of what's called the Silver Age doesn't make much sense. Okay. And then what happened is the people who read them, the fans, grew up and entered the industry. And that's how you got comic books that are actually literature. Okay. So people like Warren Ellis, who wrote The Boys, he grew up as a fan and then wanted to write it. And because he was not a schlock person, like, he has real complex issues and story arcs. And this is going on across all the major companies, right? As the fans became the authors, they wrote the stories that they wanted to see. And that's why even in mainstream DC Comics, you will find plot lines that are not dissimilar to The Boys. Like, they're not as bad, they're not as violent, but like, there are all kinds of things. And now you have mainstream authors, people like Brad Meltzer, who's a New York Times bestselling author, is now also a comic book author.
Oh, neat.
Yeah. So like these complex, nuanced stories where heroes are neither good nor bad, but both, or, the villains are, have some aspects of good in them as well. Like, this is just, they're telling real storylines now, and they really are, even though they are, they are funny books, they are real. They are real.
You can, legit, you can learn legit lessons from comic
Abs-
books. My
Absolutely.
husband loves comic books. I have a giant stack right over here that he just got that he's reading at night, and he's been
Yep.
reading them to our kids. Sometimes he has to edit them or
Yep.
shorten them if they're,
Yep.
but yeah, he'll read them if the kids are interested. And you do get life lessons that shows you the way on how to live today. The problem that I see with, I think we're always going to be obsessed with superheroes and supervillains. And I think we're
Mhm.
always going to have comics and movies and shows. We're always going to get retellings of Batman and Superman,
Mhm.
and I like them. I liked the
Yep.
newest Superman movie. I just saw Fantastic Four. I loved it. And I think it's good. But the thing that I think we all need to realize is superheroes are not real. I wish they were. I wish we had a Superman.
Right.
And
Oh,
people
oh
are
no, I do
good.
not wish that at all.
Yeah, I guess,
I do
yeah,
not
but
wish that at
according
all.
to not the boys' version of Superman. But, I guess what I wanna say is we want superheroes to be real.
Correct.
And when Trump stands up and says, "America, I love you. I'm gonna take care of you."
Yep.
He said before, he said, "Women, just vote for me this next time and you don't have to vote again. I'll take care of you." And when he makes these comments, these statements of, "I'm gonna solve all your problems." And when you're at home struggling and your life is rough and you're mad at the government and you're like, "The government's not doing anything for me. I'm going to vote for this new guy that says he's going to, you know,
Yep.
stand up and do what's right and protect me." It's a propaganda tool because that's not realistic. One person cannot save the world. And so we need to put up alarm systems. If
Yep.
one person is saying, "I'm going to save you," that's propaganda because one
Yep.
person can't save, even when they're president of the United States, they can't save the world.
They can't. But it is, the president is daddy to America. Um, and we all want to believe that,
Yeah, I
and,
get why I have neighbors that voted for me for state house and they voted for Trump. They had a Trump sign in the yard right next to a Sarah Blessing sign. And I get why they voted for Trump. And they're nice, wonderful people and I love them very much.
yep.
They want somebody to save them. They've been told this is the person that's going to save them. They're
Yep.
not paying attention to politics. They're not reading the news that's in the middle that's giving the true picture of what's happening. They didn't see the Washington Post article that came out after Trump's first 4 years of all the like, I think it was like 36,000 lies or something that he told
Yep.
just while he was president. They didn't see that. They didn't know that he lies to us. So they just think he's like Superman and he's going to save us. And
Yep.
I think yelling at them and saying they're against us, they're against my rights, they're terrible people, they're monsters, I'm blocking them on Facebook and I'm never talking to them again, that is not the solution.
Correct. I look at people who voted for the other side. I look at them as victims more than anything else. Because if you think about it from their perspective, they're watching something called Fox News. They think they're staying informed. They think they're actually being responsible with their media choices. I get it, right? Like, and it is a complex world, and you know this better than me. It's a complex media landscape. Figuring out how to navigate that's not a skill we were taught in school.
Right.
Anyone who grew up post-internet, like and even people who are growing up now, it's not like they're getting tons of education in media literacy,
Right.
how to tell when someone's lying, etc.
Oh yeah, they're trying in Indiana. They're trying to cut out history. They're trying to cut out
Yep.
basic things that students need,
Yep.
so that we don't figure out it's propaganda. I mean, they're actually trying that in Indiana and it's working to some extent.
Yep. It is.
So you're right. Let's talk about the propaganda in the boys because it's kind of
Yeah.
fun. So we
Sure.
mentioned the movies.
Yep.
So they have to, in their contract, they get tons of money, the seven
Yep.
do. And then there's like an academy where the superheroes go to learn how to be
Correct.
superheroes, and they do little superhero things in their little areas, and then
Yep.
they try to get into the seven. And so they have to make movies, they have to film certain like fake rescues or fake crimes and stop the fake crimes, and they do a lot of like memes. There's a lot of like social media influencers on the platforms pumping up
Yep.
the Seven and the superheroes and Vought and how great they are. And so the majority of the country has been duped and believes that. And then we've got Starlight. She in the first season, she can
Yep.
shoot light out of her eyes and do stuff with her light.
Yeah,
She's not one of the like
she can fly, and she's got
she
some
can,
kind of light powers and sort of electromagnetic energy.
yes. Yeah.
And she can
Is
scorch you.
she's a legit good person that's kind of messed up that comes in and gets to be one of the Seven, mainly because she's really pretty,
Yep.
and her ability is pretty. It's an attractive one. So she
Yep.
gets brought in and then kind of quickly realizes the people she's working with are terrible and she's not actually going to be a hero. She wanted to come in and be a real superhero. And she's like, oh, that's not what we do. It's like,
Yep.
no, you're just an image propaganda tool. Come
Yep.
on. And so she ends up kind of eventually working undercover and trying to help Huey. She becomes Huey's girlfriend. And
Yep.
then, but sometimes she doesn't work with him. And eventually she leaves the Seven. But um, where it leaves it in season 4, she's kind of got her own group. She's doing her own version of like propaganda where she's trying to shine a light that Homelander's bad. They're like, Homelander killed a person on TV, and
Yep.
then they try to do propaganda against her because she's not a perfect person. And so that whole aspect. So now it's like it's divided. It's divided like our country today. We've got
Correct.
people that like the Seven and Vought Industries,
Yep.
and we've got people that think they're evil and they are going to war and they've got hate, fear, and division, just like the right and the left in America today. So it's extremely similar to what we've got going on. And it's kind of obvious. It's like, why don't you all just back off from the superheroes and live your own life and not hate each other based on what opinion you have so that you can work together to get stuff done. But I would guess it's worse. Do you think it's worse because they have the superhero powers? I would guess their world's worse.
I think it's worse because they have that. And so the like one thing to understand is like the Seven is basically the Justice League.
Right.
Homelander is Superman. Queen Maeve is Wonder Woman. A-Train is the Flash, and so on. Right. So basically what Garth Ennis did was he took the existing superhero paradigm, a team with a top tier person at the top, and said, what if they were amoral instead of being, because Superman is purely
very moral. He wants to save every creature. Yeah.
Save every creature. And they really emphasize that in the new Superman movie,
he saves a
where
squirrel.
they show like saving a squirrel at one point.
Yeah.
Like it's really very much a Silver Age presentation of Superman, like the ultimate good guy. And then, and the way Starlight comes in, so she comes in as this fresh-faced new person. She's like from Iowa. She's like the ultimate corn-fed girl. And she was in training her whole life, in the Vought Industries world, you have superhero beauty pageants or superhero competitions.
Oh yeah, she was good at the beauty pageants.
She was good at the beauty pageants, and she had like the appropriate superhero boyfriend, and she was a teenager. And then she gets called up to the Seven, and she has her first meeting, and she walks in the tower, and you can just see like the stars are in her eyes, and she thinks this is all real. And she goes to the restroom, and the Aquaman analog, what they call the Deep, tells her, yeah, you got to have oral sex with me. Like, I'm the big cheese here. Homelander listens to me. If you don't do this, you're going to be thrown out. She basically forces her to have oral sex with him. And this is the loss of her innocence. And it very firmly establishes the Deep as just this horrible character who it stays horrible throughout.
He's not the smartest. He's not necessarily like a monster, but he will do anything to stay in the Seven.
He will do anything to stay in the Seven.
And that's where he gets so immoral. And that's a big parallel to people will do anything to stay in MAGA, in favor of MAGA. They will vote terribly, hurt all of America except for the top few rich people.
Yep.
Because they've got to stay in MAGA, they can't be kicked out. So it's very similar.
They can't be kicked out. Mike Johnson is gonna vote against the interests of people in his own district just to maintain favor with Trump.
Right, and he's gonna have to do that if he wants to stay the leader of the House.
And he just did it last week when he dismissed the House to prevent an Epstein vote.
Yeah,
right. It's
which
clear
is something he supposedly cares about because he acts like he's very Christian.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nope.
So yeah, so yeah, she
Um,
loses her innocence, and it is really horrifying. And also, wow, I bet a lot of people can identify with similar experiences in the workplace of people
Absolutely.
taking advantage of their power. We have that in Indiana. We have that
Sure.
on the Democrat side. We have
Sure.
men taking advantage of women, and then
Sure.
our Democrat side does nothing to stop it. So
Yep.
that happens everywhere. It happens
Yep, it
everywhere
does.
if you don't have a system set in place to shine a light on it and stop it.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, and she eventually comes out and says what he did, and
Yep.
then he gets kicked off of the seven,
Yep.
and then they kind of make a campaign later on where he says he's so sorry, and he brings her back on, and he's like, "I'm so sorry I did this." It's like during the Me Too movement, and
Yep.
then they have her like forgive him, and so they do this whole thing where they keep them together after she calls it out.
Yep.
So similar again to how
It
things are
really,
handled.
yeah. Like all you have to do is appear contrite.
Yeah. Yeah. And while
Um,
we're on this touchy subject, I want to bring this up. I texted you to ask if it was okay because I wanted
sure.
to talk about sex on the show
Oh
because
yeah.
I thought this was very interesting. So Huey and Billy Butcher and Starlight and the other characters that are trying to
Yep.
stop the bad guys, they're messed up. They've had rough lives,
Oh
and
yeah.
they are messed up because why would they want to fight somebody that could kill them? So they're kind
Yeah.
of willing to risk their lives. So they're messed up. But over the season, some of them get a lot healthier. Like
Mhm.
Frenchie, the guy that's French,
Frankie and Kamiko
and
become much
Kamiko,
healthier.
they love each other, but they're so messed up they don't know how to trust each other,
Yep.
and they're working on it. And like I hope they get to be together. I hope that happens. And then Hugh and Starlight, they love each other, and their relationship gets more healthy as it
Hmm.
goes on. But there are times when they keep things from each other and stuff. So they like show love the right way on that
Hmm.
side. You see
Yep.
intimacy, you see that
Yep.
they care about their partners, and you
Yep.
see that they have like normalish sex. But
Yep.
on the seven side, whew, on the bad guy side,
Oh my
the
gosh.
sex they show makes me gag. They
Yes.
are doing stuff with what, like a German chocolate cake, and they're
Oh,
doing like
I don't know
dungeons.
if I can talk about it. Like it's so
Yeah,
bad.
I'm not going to talk about it other than just little details because it's so gross. So on that side, the people, and it's not just the superheroes, it's the people that work for the company. I think her
Yep.
name's Ashley with red
Yep.
hair.
Yep.
Her character, she really wasn't a terrible person, but she wants to keep her job, and she keeps getting bumped up because other people like get murdered by Homelander or something.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so she's pretty high up in Vought Industries, and if she wants to stay, she has to be very like lose all her morals and lose her
She has to
empathy.
be more brutal than anybody
Right. I
else.
think she pulls out her hair and she's
Yeah,
wearing a wig
she
because she's
pulls
so
out her
stressed
hair,
out. Yeah.
and it
She's
turns out that she's sexually abusing her assistant.
yes.
By
Yes.
the end.
Yes. And
Um,
so it shows their version of sex is unhealthy. They don't
yep.
care about their partners, and they're
Not at
doing
all.
like all this toy stuff, the sex toys and punishment and pain. And sometimes I think they don't make it, like their partners don't even like survive. And like
Oh,
there's a situation.
they explicitly show on screen a lot of sexual partners dying.
Yes, and
Um,
there's a scene where it was terrifying and uncomfortable where Huey is posing as a superhero and he accidentally gets in this dungeon
yes.
and it's like with a German chocolate cake and Ashley and another superhero that's really gross and disgusting.
Yes.
And it's really showing, even though it's so graphic and extreme, there is a lot of truth to what the show is telling you. If you are a healthy person and you care about your partner and you can admit fault and wrong, and then you can and you love your partner and you say sorry and you work together, you get that intimacy, you get that real love, and you don't get the gross stuff. But if you're on the other version and you don't know how to be intimate and you don't know how to be close to the other person, you get the gross stuff. And I wonder, it just seems like that's got to be somewhat realistic. I don't know because I'm not in that world.
You know, I think we can. You know, one thing I would comment from The Boys is there's no consent in The Boys.
No consent. You're so that's such a good point. Yes.
Like there's no consent, and you know, a lot of it, a lot of it's about love and intimacy, but a lot of it is about consent in the real world.
Yes.
And you get the impression that to the superheroes of the boys, they view the real world as their plaything,
Yes.
something that they can do whatever they want with, and largely they are correct. In the world of the boys, they are Promethean. They are the Promethean demigods of old.
Homelander can do anything he wants. No one can kill him. And
Yep.
that's part of the plot. The other guys, Billy Butcher and his team, they get money from the government too to
Yes.
do this. And then the government acts like they don't know them. They
Well,
get, they're funded and they're trying to find somebody to kill him. So they discover his dad, right? They discover his
yeah, they
dad.
discover a hero from World War II called Soldier Boy, who's been in stasis in Russia since World War II. Kind of analogous to Captain America.
Right.
And what they're trying to do is they're bringing this guy back, and then they discover this guy is even more politically incorrect than Homelander.
Because
Right?
he's from a long time ago.
Yeah, and the beauty of it is that it's actually, I mean, it's completely wrong, but it's a little bit charming in how old school it is.
Yeah. It's definitely
all
very
of his
humorous.
stories. He's talking about Hugh Hefner, and like,
Yeah, he brings up what he would do in the old days, and it's like, oh, that's even worse than what we would do now. Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
it's even
that's
worse than what
funny.
we do now. But the way he says it, he's got such a good delivery on it. The actors,
It's the actor from Supernatural. He's a great
Supernatural,
actor.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like he does such a good job with it that like you can kind of like you can almost cut him a break.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
And so he's not as terrible as Homelander, but he's still bad.
yeah,
And
he's still bad.
he's pretty much the only person that could really kill him is Homelander.
Yep.
So they try to unleash him to get him to kill Homelander, and it's like, what do you do to stop the bad? You have to be a little bad to stop the bad,
Yep.
And it's
Yep.
like it's such a interesting problem because we're trying to stop authoritarianism, and sometimes the way we try to stop it isn't great either. It's similar to what's going on in the real
It
world.
has like I mean this is the question is like how close can you skate to the line without becoming the thing that you're against?
Yes, and
Uh,
Billy Butcher, that's the main way they show him, and Huey
yeah,
sometimes.
and Billy Butcher is bad.
Yeah.
But like at 50-51, it's one of the reasons we've been so principled about nonviolence.
Yes.
Like 50-51 has come out of the gate and always said we're 100% nonviolent, and we have maintained that.
But even though you say that, the
yeah.
other side pumps out fake propaganda. We talked
Sure.
about it in your 50-51
Oh,
episode.
oh,
They
yeah.
pump out fake propaganda saying you're paid $200, the protesters are each. They say you're trying to stir
I've
up and
got the
destroy.
unpaid protester shirt.
Love it. Yeah, and so even though you're constantly shouting the truth and shining a light on the truth, the propaganda seeps in because my Republican friends were telling me fears about 50-51. And
Sure.
I'm like, wait a minute, I legit know the people organizing it. I help organize the Corden ones. I promise it's not real. And I
Yep.
know the ones in New Albany too. I was like, I promise.
Yep.
And it's so hard to combat all the lies. And so
It is terribly hard to combat lies.
especially when we don't have all the money. You
Nope.
don't have millions and millions of dollars
Nope.
to pump out the truth. And the truth is being suppressed.
Yep.
So in The Boys, they stop reporters that are going to report stories on how bad the Seven actually is.
Yep.
And they'll stop them in whatever means necessary. They pay off news people. So the top news people, they'll come and they'll do a one-on-one interview with the top news anchor of such and such network, and the news anchor's told exactly what to ask, exactly what to say, and they're nervous because if
Yep.
they say something wrong, they probably get murdered. So that's very similar to kind of what happens now in Russia. Like I listened to a podcast from a guy that was falsely imprisoned. An American was falsely imprisoned in Russia for a few years, and he got out and he wrote a book and he talked about it. And he said when he went to court and there was a judge, the judge basically just like has his phone out and they just tell him how he's going to rule.
Ugh.
And if he doesn't rule that way, the judge would lose he might die, his family might die. So
Yep.
it's the illusion of Russia has a democracy. Look, you have a court system. But in reality, when the guy went to be tried, even though they had no evidence to
Yep.
support what they were saying about him, they put him in jail.
Yep.
And so that happens on the boys. They're a little bit farther ahead than where we are in America
Yep.
today.
They are.
But you see,
You can see what's coming.
You see it's coming. You see judges across the country ruling the wrong way. They're not following the Constitution. They're not following the
Yep.
rule of law. They might say they are, but you're like, but wait. And so
That's not right.
it is coming. It is happening sometimes already. We haven't lost our democracy in America. We still have it, but it's good to know what it looks like. It's the illusion of democracy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like whenever I pump out short clips from Project Next about us losing our democracy, I just get so many people that are like, you are so stupid, Sarah. We have the House, we have the Senate, we have the Supreme Court, we have all these systems, we vote. And it's like it's more complex than that.
It is. I mean, I'll confess that when I was convinced that when Trump got into office, I knew he'd do the wrong thing. And I thought that we have the courts, we have the House, we have the Senate. He will be restrained. And I look at the rulings that were handed down last week, which is going to make it a crime to be homeless and to put you in a concentration camp if you're homeless or if you have mental illness. That's not in the Constitution anywhere I saw. I don't know how that doesn't infringe on life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, but somehow it's legal.
I agree that this term, his second term, has been scarier than the first term. The first term, I was like, oh, look at the courts, look at the things. They're sticking up. They're sticking up for democracy. And it seems like they've learned a lot. The Trump administration has learned a lot from that first 4 years. And this time they're better at bullying. They're better at being the strong man. Yep. They look like the superhero, but really it's you listen to me above all else, and that's not democracy. We don't have kings.
Hey, I'm just seeing the timer. It's 52 minutes. So we should start working on that recap.
Yeah, thanks, Scott. Okay, so I'm going to sum up. First off, I'm doing a speech about this at Scott's next protest, at 5051's next protest in Indy. Where is it in Indy? Can you tell us?
It is at the State House downtown. It is on 8/2, which is one of the Gen Con days. And it goes 12 to 4. And we're going to have music. We're going to have speakers. We're going to have activities. We're going to have games. It's going to be a thing. Our organizer for this event is doing a fantastic job. I'm so proud of her.
Who is that? Is it Lisa?
It's a friend of mine named Lisa Meese. She's doing a great job.
Lisa, you rock. I can't wait to meet all of you all. So I will be doing a speech, I think around 1:15.
Yep,
and I will put it on Project Next as long as I can convince somebody to hold my phone for me and film me. And
we will certainly help you with that. We can bring an extra tripod.
Oh yeah,
and we live stream everything anyway. So
yeah, and then I'm going to try to ask everybody to get their phones out if they're there and to live stream it. We'll see if I'm going to try to get this indie protest some more coverage if possible. Yep. And I'm going to be talking about the boys. I'm going to just condense it into like a 5, maybe 6-minute speech. And I cannot wait to see a big protest, a big peaceful protest. I've just been to little ones in Corden. So I've just been, 100 to 200 people.
Fantastic. I mean, it's the crazy thing about 5051 is we never know what we're going to get, right? It's kind of a Forrest Gump thing. We've done protests, with 5,000 people. We've done protests with 200 people. We've done protests with 20,000 people.
I hope this is a big one since I'm coming up. I'm so excited about it.
I hope so too. And we've got a lot of people working the Gen Con circuit and giving out flyers and promoting it to get people to come over. Because one of the things we want to do is teach people from outside our area how to go back to their environment and know what a protest is.
Right. Yeah, that's great. Okay, so come to that. It's from 12 to 4 if you are in the Indy area. And also if you're there and you watch this, come and find me and talk to me. I'd love to talk to you. And then also this show should be on the radio now. We're doing the Snipe Report radio station. So if you are listening to us on that, or if you are watching this and you don't know how to follow us, we are on YouTube, our YouTube channel, Project Next. We are on a Substack, Project Next Indiana. If you want to get emails of our shows and then just see what shows sound interesting to you, just go to our Substack. We're also on Facebook, Project Next. We're on Instagram. We're on TikTok. TikTok, we don't put the full shows, but we put clips up. Those are the main ways you can find us. So please follow us. We're a new independent media company that wants to unite our communities and offer solutions to our problems instead of just shouting what the problems are and blaming. We actually want to fix stuff. Scott, it's been a real pleasure getting to know you. I cannot wait to see you in person on Saturday.
I will see you in person on Saturday. I'm the MC.
Yeah, right. I saw that. I saw that you're the MC. That makes me feel more comfortable because I am excited and nervous. So
you are going to be, if you can do this, you can speak in front of a crowd.
I've done a speech before, but it's just like a few hundred people. So this will be the biggest crowd. I'm excited. Yeah, thanks for what
it's got a whole, from people I've talked to that have been on at the smaller protests that come here, they always say it's got a whole different energy.
Yeah, so. It sounds sort of like almost like a carnival type thing. Like
bit.
It's really fun. And what a big community, like a rock concert, maybe.
Yeah.
Like a rock concert, but the rock stars are the people coming up and being like, we're going to save the country and work together. Yeah. So I'm really excited. And I just want to shout out everybody at 5051. You guys rock.
Thank
across
you so much.
The country in Indiana. I'm so proud of what you all are doing in Indiana. I cannot wait. Cannot wait to see it.
I get a lot of attention because I'm the guy up in front, but quite honestly, it's everyone around me doing everything. I'm just lucky to have. I'm honestly blessed with great people around me.
Yeah, so. I am blessed that I get to meet people like you all. Like that's what's really fun about Project Next. You all come on my show and I get to meet you, and I'm like, thank you for what you're doing. When you guys are having dark days, listen to these fun episodes of these people fighting back. Let's do it.
We're trying.
I will try to get a hold of your busy schedule sometime and see if we can do another superhero related episode, maybe in a few months or something.
Oh, I'd love to.
Because there's all these like Superman, Fantastic Four. We could talk about something else. And if you liked this, let us know in the comments of however you're watching it, if you liked it or not, because this is a sample show of does it work if we talk about entertainment. Yeah. Okay, you guys have a great day. Thank you, everybody. And please share this with a friend. Bye.
Bye. Thank you, Sarah. Bye.